All right, hello, good evening. Welcome to soccer sessions in the state of Indiana. We, I think, are represented all over. We currently have 118 people on the meeting, so share the link to the other referees that we can share this education throughout. We will be here for 1 hour. I am your host, Doug Ferguson. We have a bunch of good guys on the panel tonight that we're going to cover Offside. But some housekeeping on how we're going to run the meeting. So in Zoom, people are getting familiar with it, being in this time of the COVID and not being able to meet in person. Tonight, we're going to be using the question and answer in chat, not raising your hand. So we're not going to be using that. If you raise it by accident, that's fine. It's not really going to serve a purpose tonight. So the chat is meant for just general discussion, and we will be monitoring the chat all night. And if you have a specific question, though, put that in the Q&A, and we can cover those as the meeting goes on. So with that, there's another part that we're going to be using called Slido. It's a different website or app on your phone. So if you go to slido.com and you type in our event tonight is soccer, you can use the QR code to take a picture of what's on the screen there, and it takes you right to our event. Or if you go to slido.com, you can go there. With that, it's best for these meetings if you use a PC or a laptop. And then it'd be awesome if you had a second device to do the Slido, so you can go back and forth. And if for some reason you accidentally get out of the meeting or click the wrong button, you just get back into the meeting with the same link, and you'll come right back in. And then after this meeting, we're going to have a social meeting where we can continue the discussion, and then that meeting is one where we will open it up and everybody can see everybody. In the normal Zoom meeting, this happens to be a Zoom webinar. So without further ado, let's make Tony DeLois, spotlight him. Tony has a few words he'd like to say, and take it away, Tony.
Quick, guys, just going over some housekeeping part. You want credit for the tournament, please go on to myhsa.net and register. It will be open for at least 4 or 5 more days. We will close it, I think, on Friday. So again, if you do want credit, please get on there and sign up. If you have any questions about past meetings or this particular meeting, send me an email and we will answer it as soon as we can. With that being, we want to keep it concise. Off to Andrew and start the show.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us again during this time. It's been absolutely awesome to be able to keep the education going and be able to continue to communicate through the game of soccer. There's a pretty cool message out there from the NASO, the National Association of Sports Officials, some of the leading sports officials in all of the major sports. If you have any social media, get on there and just search it quick. It's a 2 or 3 minute video just encouraging everybody that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and we want to be ready as soon as that time comes. So appreciate you joining us and staying up to date on things, and we're all making ourselves better here. So topic is offside this evening. We're going to be looking at 8 different offside scenarios, no offside scenarios. And as Doug referenced, we'll be using the Slido in between each of those. So you'll be getting a good look, maybe 2 looks at the clip, and then you'll simply be asked to state your opinion, offside or no offside. And then we'll go through the considerations. On the screen in front of you, you see our considerations for offside. 2 weeks ago, we talked about handling and some of the considerations. Same thing with offside. In the referee's opinion, we consider the following for offside scenarios. So our big ones are, is the player interfering with play by touching the ball or moving towards the ball in a very close vicinity, in close proximity? Is the player interfering with an opponent? Are they blocking line of vision, or are they challenging for the ball even though they don't touch it? And the third one, is the player gaining an advantage from the rebound? Deflection versus deliberate is a big one. If it's a deliberate play, we keep that flag down. If it's a deflection, the flag goes up as it normally does. So easy way to remember it, I think of it as the pig mentality. Are they participating? Are they interfering? Are they gaining an advantage? We have a matter of seconds to go through that checklist in our head and decide if our flag goes up or stays down as assistant referees. When in doubt, keep the flag down. Statistics across the world show that when we keep our flags down, we are right well over 90 to 95% of the time. So something to keep in mind there. If there's doubt, keep it down. So without further ado here, Doug, let's go ahead and get the clips rolling. So clip number 1, Toronto and New England in the MLS last year. All right, go ahead and give them one more look, Doug. All right, and then we'll transition to the vote here.
And here's where you guys go to slido.com and pick your answers.
All right, we'll give each one about 30 seconds there, even if we don't quite get everybody. So 63% of our respondents believe this play to be offside here. So at the moment that Doug has frozen here, we have Josie Altidore playing this ball through to number 14 of Toronto, who is clearly in an offside position if you look at the grass cutting. Now, our consideration here is whether or not this is a deflection or a deliberate play by the New England defender. Doug, can you go ahead and play through that touch there? Okay. Right here, we get a touch by the New England defender. And now at this moment, we need to judge whether that was a deflection or a deliberate play. If it's a deflection, our flag goes up. If it's a deliberate play, then our flag stays down and the play resets. So looking at our considerations for deflection versus deliberate. A deflection is considered if it's an instinctual reaction, if the defender has little or no time to play the ball, or if they're unbalanced. It is considered a deliberate play if the player is moving toward the ball, if they have time to play, if they are balanced, and they properly play the ball but simply misplay it. So Doug, if you can rewind it about, perfect. So right here, as Josie Altidore plays the ball, we can actively see number 9, the defender for New England, take 3 steps toward the ball, reach his foot out, and then plays that ball in behind. So this player had time to play the ball. He deliberately meant to do that, and the ball was simply a misplay. So in this case here, this is a deliberate play. We would expect the flag to stay down, and we would expect this to be a good goal. As you can see, that pass comes from about 10 yards away. The player is moving towards the ball and simply misplays the ball in this case. Had time, had space, and there was plenty of distance. These are the most difficult offside decisions for us to make as assistant referees. And I understand in the chat we're seeing you don't see the deflection or the play until we point it out. Different in person. Very, very good point. But this is also one, if you're the assistant referee on the far side of the field, you are looking across, in this case, about 50 to 55 yards. You may not see that deflection versus deliberate. A key point in some of these is we need to understand that offside is no longer just an assistant referee's prerogative, but it takes teamwork. In this case here, the referee without comms in our games needs to be yelling defender, defender, defender. Play on, allowing play to continue. Something to let the players and the assistant referee know that there was a deliberate play in this case. Okay? Thoughts from the panel? Are we good?
I have a question on if you could address, Biggs, how would the center deal with the AR raising his flag in this situation where he knows? I mean, you said do the play on. Do you just keep verbalizing that?
I would refrain from play on, and I think the key word for this one is defender, defender, defender.
Yes.
So the referee is recognizing this as a deliberate play, but the flag still goes up. It is now the referee's responsibility to communicate to everybody that we're going to continue play. And that's where the defender, defender, defender comes into play. That should be your signal to the assistant to put the flag down, get back into position as quickly as possible.
Perfect.
Perfect. That's, yep.
Only comment I had.
All right. I will tell you before this next one starts up, this is another example of deliberate versus deflection. So that's the consideration you're using as you look at clip number 2 here. All right, take us back, Doug. 96 responses, 75% of our attendees believe this to be offside, and we agree with them here. This play here, unlike the previous play, this play has the criteria of a deflection in terms of offside considerations. So Doug, can you rewind to the kick point on the shot? Can you freeze it? Excellent, right there. So looking at this one here, the differences from clip number 1, we're looking at the key consideration here is this defender is at a very short distance of only a few yards from the attacker taking the shot. It's an instinctual reaction. He has little or no time to play the ball, and it deflects off of the defender to the attacker, who gains an advantage from being in that offside position. So an easy, probably the criteria that helps us, the consideration that helps us the most as assistant referees in terms of deciding deliberate versus deflection is the time and the distance. The more time, the more distance, the more likely it's deliberate. The less time, the shorter the distance, the more likely we are to have a deflection. So in this case here, even though we know the attacker is deliberately trying to block the shot, they're doing so from an extremely close distance, and the reaction time is slim to none in this case here. So those of you 75% who said offside on this play, excellent, good use of the considerations. Anything from the panel there?
I just want to say that the difference between these two clips, like Andrew said, the distance and the time, and if we refer back to the first clip, that defender had 3 steps to react to that ball, and he put his right foot out to touch the ball with the outside of his right foot to bring it down with his foot and then take a step and play it. Those are 2 different characteristics that player is doing compared to this player. This player is just reaching out. It's a completely different, and we had in the chat some about that they deliberately played that ball in this clip, and this is just them putting their foot out, as opposed to the other one. The player took 3 steps, saw it coming, chose what part of the foot that they wanted to play with, but just misplayed it. So that's the difference between these 2.
Great point. And I see one that just came up in the chat too. Also, skill level, keep in mind. I would agree with that to a point. I think both of these plays here, even though we're talking about the professional and the international level, I think both of these plays, clip number 1, if we see that in our IHSAA games, I would advise that we're all keeping the flag down. And as far as clip 2 that we're looking at here, if we see the blocking of a shot from only a couple of yards distance, we should not be considering deliberate play in this case here. So good use of the considerations. Moving on to clip 3, we'll take a break from deliberate versus deflection. Your considerations now will deal more with interfering. Your offside decision that you're looking at here is the shot on goal.
This is the best view right here.
So on this shot, you need to consider, as the assistant referee or the referee in this case, this is a teamwork play. Is there interfering on this play? Offside or no offside? All right, let's go to the Slido, Doug.
What happened? Only 89 respondents now?
We're
What are you
getting
guys
there.
afraid of?
We're getting there.
Just a little more than half. There we go. Okay.
Hey, we had a question earlier in the chat. Somebody wanted to know if a rules interpretation and a association meaning count for tournament. I just got a text back from Sandra that said both of those count for the tournament. Just somebody asked that earlier.
All right, so 62% of our responses believe this play not to be offside. So let's go back and take a look and run through our considerations here. The consideration that is key on this one is whether or not this attacker is interfering with the goalkeeper's line of vision. This is a line of vision question. So if we freeze it on the kick point, we have the red and white player in an offside position within 1 yard of the goalkeeper. And if this is the case here, the recommendation at this distance is that this is deemed to be interfering with the goalkeeper's ability to make a play on the ball. Even though in this case, I see in the chat a number of people saying that the defenders don't raise their hands, nobody expects it. That's not what we're using to judge our criteria here. In the case of interfering with the goalkeeper, the close proximity to the goalkeeper, your determination is whether or not the goalkeeper is impacted by that attacker's position. In this case here, the recommendation is yes, he is. If we look at it right there, the keeper is down, the keeper is looking around the attacker. The keeper isn't necessarily upright in a natural position here. But more importantly here, this is a play that is a lot more than just an offside position. So the referee, you can see here, is in a prime position. When this ball goes in the net, we need to think about mechanics as an assistant referee. Our mechanics teach us to do one of two things when a goal is scored. If we are 100% sure and we have all the information we need to make a decision, we are sprinting up the line, signaling a good goal. If we are missing a piece of the puzzle, as we say, then our responsibility is to stand at attention as the assistant referee. So in this case here, in our IHSA matches without comms and microphones, the advice to assistant referees in this case, we have one piece of the puzzle, but we don't have the other piece that we need to make this decision. If we are lined up properly with the second to last defender, the piece of the puzzle that we have is that this attacker is in an offside position when the ball is shot. We do not know, however, as we're looking straight on, whether or not that attacker's actions impact the keeper's ability. If you freeze it right there where Doug has it, I know we have super slow-mo and everything else, but that keeper is looking around that red player. He's forced into an unnatural position as a goalkeeper because of the proximity of that attacker. So we should be standing at attention. The referee sees we're not running up the field. That is the referee's cue to come over and have a conversation. The clock is stopped at this point. We have all the time in the world. We have to have proper communication on this. The referee comes over. As an assistant referee, we're going to say, I have the red player in an offside position, but I do not know if that player interfered with the goalkeeper's ability to play the ball. Was that player in the goalkeeper's line of vision? Would be a simple question for the referee. In this case here, if the referee says, no, in my opinion, that position did not interfere, then we have a good goal. If the referee believes that that attacker did interfere with the goalkeeper, then we have offside, indirect free kick coming out. So that one has a lot of elements of teamwork there. The assistant referee can't possibly make this decision on their own. Thoughts from the panel?
I question.
I think
Someone commented about a deliberate play by a defender in there.
There's no deliberate play in this case.
I didn't think so. All right.
John Atwood says, what was the call at the time? I can tell you in this match, this was deemed a good goal. But I would tell you it was deemed a good goal because the referee team went far too quickly. Doug, can you play it through and freeze it as soon as the referee starts to point toward the center circle? Okay, freeze it. This referee has already, in his mind, made a decision that this should be a good goal. I would ask where the communication with the assistant referee came. It couldn't possibly happen in that amount of time. We have no reason to make a split-second decision. We need to be looking over at our assistant referee and making sure all of our mechanics match the call here.
Greg
Doug,
Bose says, any problem if the AR saw the line of sight issue and puts flag up?
What was that?
Greg Bose says, any problem if the AR saw the line of sight issue and puts the flag up?
That's a great question. If you are an assistant referee, at any time, if you believe you 100% have all the pieces of the puzzle required to make an offside decision, you are well within your responsibilities to put the flag up. If you believe that you have no doubts whatsoever, this is interfering with the goalkeeper, offside position, get your flag up, go ahead and own that call, 100%. Another question, do we stand at attention with the flag up or the flag down? In this case here, I would advise that we stand at attention with the flag down. If we have the flag up, we've already made a decision. If we have the flag down, we're facilitating a conversation and we're communicating. Through that communication, then we will arrive at our final decision as a crew. If we stand at attention with our flag up and then the referee comes over and we deem this to be a good goal, now we've created some confusion that maybe we could have avoided with the flag down standing at attention.
Good stuff.
Anything else on this one?
Nope.
Tough one. A lot of teamwork here. A lot of teamwork. And the play we're looking at is the goal here, not the first pass. All right, let's hit the vote. I like where we're trending on this one. All right, Doug, 105 responses and 95% believe this to be a good goal. No offside. So Doug has us frozen on the kick point here. We are looking at the red player, assuming that they are a step in front of the ball when this cross is made. An extremely difficult decision. You can see our assistant referee at the top of the screen working as hard as possible to get into position for this. Because if you remember, the first ball through was a through ball cutting the lines already. So yes, Tony points out that the linesman is out of position on this case. We're all going to be out of position. There are times as assistant referees where you will not be in position. Nobody is as fast as the soccer ball. We have to rely on our instincts and our anticipation to recover as quickly as possible. So this first pass cuts the line. That assistant referee is working as hard as possible. There's the cross. We're going to assume he's a step in front of the ball. But what we're concerned about here is the touch by the defender and the own goal. You can see that defender never turns his head. He's not looking for or feeling an attacker on his back whatsoever. This attacker, or excuse me, this defender completed this action 100% completely on his own, without any interference from the attacker whatsoever. So as 95% of you said and correctly identified, this is 100% a good goal. I do agree with you from the view. It looks like the second attacker was behind the ball. We're also concerned about the deliberate nature of the play and the interfering. That's what we're focused on for this one. So in this case here, that defender, 100% a deliberate play. That backside attacker has not interfered whatsoever. This is a good goal. All right. Halfway home, number 5. This is your best look right here. You get the freeze frame. All right, let's get a vote, Doug. All right, 73% offside. Back to the clip here. Doug, yes, perfect. So we have it frozen here. First thing I want to draw your attention to is our assistant referee. So our assistant referee here is doing two things very well. Number one, he is in very good position to make this initial, to take that initial snapshot or picture, as we say. You can also see that the assistant referee is anticipating this cross and has already transitioned somewhat from that vertical square to the field to beginning to move upfield in anticipation of the cross in the next phase of play. Okay? So we have offside position just by a step. Very important that the referee is in the right position to make that initial determination. And then we have the touch right there. Now, I see it in the chat already. Hines and Kevin both identify that from this view, it looks like the second attacker, or excuse me, that's the last one. Kevin says, not clear who the ball deflected off of, looks like the defender. So a good point Kevin makes there. But I would also say that our consideration in this one is whether or not this attacker is participating or interfering with play. Even if this ball goes off the defender, in this case, that attacker, from what we can see here as an assistant referee, we feel the assistant referee should own this call 100% with a flag up. That blue attacker is, yes, Joe, excellent point. Putting pressure on the defender, clearly influencing his decision and making a play. So regardless of if this touches the orange or the blue player, we would expect a flag in this case. Flag up, offside, interfering with play. Anything from the panel?
No.
How about if he's touching him? Attacker touches the defender.
As soon as he touches them, that's participating. Absolutely, 100%. So participating and interfering with play. Participating means touching the ball. Interfering with play means blocking the line of vision or challenging, clearly challenging for the ball. So in this case here, we have a clear challenge for the ball from the blue attacker from an offside position. Flag up. And again, we would encourage assistant referees to own this 100% and not need the help of the center official. So 75% of our panel, correct. Offside, interfering with play. All right. Clip number 6, Mr. Ferguson. We'll try to be a little more clear in who's attacking and defending here to help you out in your decision making. Let it hit the 100 mark. Come on. Who's going to do it? All right.
There we go.
87% not offside to the clip. So we have white attacking here. White plays a ball all the way across the field. So we have a good 40 to 50 yard ball flighted here. Go ahead and play it, Doug. We have a white player in an offside position. We have a blue defender who heads the ball. Go ahead and play it through. Kind of goes into no man's land there. Flag went up very quickly. Referee blows the whistle for offside. So if we look at our considerations here, we need to determine, in this case, is the white attacker who is behind the blue player at this point in time interfering with play? Is there a line of vision question? Not at all.
Nope.
So our consideration here is whether or not this white player is challenging, clearly challenging for the ball. And then in this case here, we agree with 87% of you. This is one as assistant referees. We advise that the flags stay down in this case. This is a prime example of our wait and see that we've been taught for the last 4 or 5 years here. And this is not a clear challenge. You can actually see the white attacker taking a step or two backwards. The blue player, this ball is expected. It's a deliberate act to head the ball. He has more than enough time to play the ball. He is balanced and has an opportunity to properly play the ball without being interfered with. He heads the ball back into the middle. We would advise that the flags stay down here. It is a little more difficult in this case, as some people have said in the chat here. The assistant referee is looking all the way across the field. Could be difficult to deem the distance here and the level of interfering. But this is where that wait and see is the most important aspect. If we wait and see how this plays out, I think we more than likely come to the conclusion that there was no direct challenge for the ball and everybody's playing on here. The question in the chat, this is a good one. Mark says, can the center wave this off? In the middle of the field like this, with the flag going up from the assistant referee at this point in time, everybody basically freezes. And the referee is put in a very difficult spot. The referee goes ahead and blows the whistle here. The advice, if the flag does go up here, again, would be deliberate, or defender. If you believe and you can wave it off. However, at midfield there, is anybody going to remember this if the flag does go up and you blow the whistle? Probably not. But the big learning point in this one is, as assistant referees, we need to wait and see.
So Biggs, just out of curiosity to that point, if we're waiting and seeing and he misplays that header, this is an opportunity where he could, then that resets and he is legit to take that ball like we had in the previous slides.
Right. If he, let's say this blue player heads the ball backwards towards his own goal. It skips off his head. And then that white player's in on goal on a breakaway. Then we're looking at a clip very similar to number 1.
Yeah.
All of those criteria.
And we have an AR that has raised his flag in this position where that guy could have a clear advantage to go to the goal.
And now we need a referee to intervene by saying defender, 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 or deliberate, deliberate, deliberate. Whatever your buzzword is to let everybody know that we're playing on, that's where you need to kick that into gear. Yep. Good questions about, Brian says, did the center even look at his AR, or did he decide offside on his own? I think he sees the flag up, and I think he makes the decision based on the AR's information. The AR in this case tied the referee's hands at midfield with a quick flag. Adam's point, what if blue ducks to catch the attacker offside? If blue doesn't play this ball and it goes directly to the white attacker, Adam, you're absolutely right, 100%. We need to be in a position to do our job, and our job here would be to call offside. Of course, that's putting a lot of trust on us as referees, but we would be able, in this case, to make that decision. The assistant referee is in a very good position, has a clear line of sight all the way across the line of defenders. And the assistant referee, if blue never plays that ball and it goes directly to white, our flag should be up, no questions asked, for participating in play as soon as he touches the ball.
I think the biggest thing here is the wait and see.
Yes.
And a lot of us, as soon as we identify and went through the considerations, we're like, yes, we got him. And that's the part that, if some of you remember, Tim Geis used to always tell us, bring that flag back just a little bit before you pull it up. And that's in that motion there that we wait and see, that's where you're going to stop and read the play and not put your flag up. But we instinctively just go through like, yes, we got him, and then we put our flag up on this play. And we just need to make sure we get out of that habit.
This play takes me back to my painful memory. It takes me back to my playoff game in Atlanta, where I did exactly what you said, Ben. I had a player in an offside position. The ball went completely to another player, but I had tunnel vision, had gone through all the considerations, and I was just waiting to raise my flag. And I raised it so quickly, and then something else completely happens. And if I would have waited even, I would say 1 second, not even 2 seconds, then completely different outcome. So those of you in the chat talking about wise people once telling you better slow and right than fast and wrong, 100%. There's no reason on this play for our flag to be up immediately. So, very good. All right, 10 minutes to go and 2 clips. We're right on schedule. One more time, Doug.
Hey, Biggs, as the Slido's going on, I can't recall if you addressed, there's a question on the Q&A. Not in the chat, just in the Q&A.
Yeah, that's a good point. The question in the Q&A is, would you look at the time and distance a defender has to make a play on the ball similar to how we look at time and distance to analyze deliberate handling. I think the two can be similar, absolutely. So the time and distance for handling is a consideration, just like the time and distance is a consideration for deliberate versus deflection. So that's a good way to keep those two square in your head. Yep, a good consistent way to make our decisions. Good point. All right. What did we finish with, Doug? What was our percentage?
One, I think it was like 76%.
76% say offside, 76% correct. So in this case here, as the ball's being played, we can see that the red and white player is indeed close, but offside, behind the line of the second to last defender there. Assistant referee positioning, very good job adjusting and looking at play. You can see it's frozen there. It's subtle, but I look at it, something we want to try to do as assistant referees. You can see this referee has decided to root himself to the spot, and he's leaning to the right. He's leaning around players to get a view in this case. So as much as we can, we want to refrain from reaching, ducking, leaning right and left to see through. If we need to take a side shuffle or a step, let's do that. And let's give ourselves an upright, best viewing angle across the line of across our line of vision. So in this case here, ball comes in. It is played by the defender. However, we have an attacker who is well within playing distance, makes a clear challenge on the ball, and is participating and interfering with play here. A couple things from the chat I want to highlight here. Dan again highlights our wait and see that we talked about in the last clip. This is a very quick flag from the assistant referee. And Dave above Dan's says, if the keeper gets the ball here, I would let play continue, wait and see. So you're calling, it's almost better for the keeper to have the ball in his or her hands and playing quickly than stopping play for an offside here. You can 100% acknowledge the assistant referee, thumbs up, or thank you, I got it. Let everybody know you understand. Communicate. Everybody knows that the assistant referee made a credible decision, but the referee has the option to continue play here. John, you're absolutely right. The attacker comes back from an offside position in an attempt to play the ball. So in this case here, even though it comes from a defender, the proximity to play, interfering with play, we have offside. So excellent interpretations. On a side note, before we go to the last play, what are these goal line officials? They are strictly just that. They are there as an extra set of eyes on the goal line. They are mic'd up. They may deliver information, but only if they are 1,000% sure of what they see. Otherwise, they are encouraged to stay out of the conversation and simply be a judge.
One more question in the question and answer.
Sure. If everyone believes offside and adjusts to play, what should we call if not offside? I'm not sure So 76% of us here believe this to be offside. We have two options. we can wave our assistant referee down and we can play from the goalkeeper here, or we can restart play with an indirect free kick coming out for the offside. Either one in this case, as long as we acknowledge the decision, even if we don't make the decision. I think that's what we were going with.
Yep.
All right, final clip. So we got a dead ball, in-swinging ball, dangerous ball into the box here.
Doug's moving quick.
Yeah,
Keeping us
it's not
on
messing
time.
around. He's ready for social hour.
His lips need to get wet.
Tony, I appreciate that. The officials on the goal line are the Thierry Henry officials.
You got
2010
it.
World Cup qualifier versus Northern Ireland.
Good
Brian.
stuff, Capone. Nice stuff, Capone.
Your job is goal line official, but you better believe you're screaming into the mic right there, no goal. Oh, right on 100. 84% say offside. Don't play it yet, Doug. I want to draw attention to, these seem like easy decisions on dead balls, but they quickly become some of our most difficult decisions as assistant referees.
Mhm.
So you have a free kick here. Everybody's stationary. You can see the flag of the assistant referee all the way at the top of the screen. You can see the flag hanging down. The assistant referee in a very good position, which when play is stopped, we have no excuse not to be lined up properly. However, when this ball gets played into the mixer, we now have a whole lot of things happening extremely quickly. We have to transition from a stop to a transition and a sprint, and we have to identify a whole lot of factors in a short time. So ball comes in, attacker goes up for the header, ball goes over the attacker's head, attacker does not contact the ball, then the ball pings around a little bit, and as 84% of the attendees said, we do expect this to be an offside. We expect the actions of that attacker by jumping up in an attempt to head that ball into the goal. You have now completely occupied the attention of the goalkeeper, and you are interfering with play even if you don't touch that ball. That ball is close enough to the attacker's head. That's deemed to be a clear challenge on the ball, even though he does not touch it. Goalkeeper reacts. Mike, you're absolutely right. Eric and Adam bring up the same point too. I see an arm in the back. Looks like a forearm. So we have the assistant referee focused on offside here. The referee, that's referee positioning here. Is the referee in a good position to potentially make a call, a credible decision for a foul coming out, and being able to sell that call? Jim Kerner, you bring up a great point. Why not just wait those 2 seconds? If you're waiting, there's nothing wrong with waiting. If you're waiting to see, in this case here, the fact that that ball bounces down into a scrum basically, I would encourage us as assistant referees, as soon as we are confident that that player has clearly challenged for the ball and interfered with play, our flag needs to go up here. I would advise against a wait and see in this case, just because of the traffic 10 yards from goal. All right. Thoughts from the panel?
All good stuff.
All right. So just to close us here, again, 164 attendees. Awesome stuff tonight. I appreciate how, as the clips went on, you could see us gaining a more consistent understanding, even in our short time together, as far as our considerations and what is or not offside. Deliberate versus deflection are extremely difficult. And then interfering with play, we need to make those decisions, but don't hesitate to involve your teammates when necessary. Offside is more and more a participation sport with multiple participants. So, all right. We're going to hold off until we've been going every 2 weeks. We're going to hold off on the June 1st. We're going to wait until mid-June here, as Doug has just posted, June 16th. And we have some plans for a new rules interpretation, possibly some updates as far as where we stand. There were some questions in the chat earlier about where the state stands with COVID-19 and implications on the fall. July 1st is our IHSAA reopening. So we'll be waiting for that benchmark to kind of see where everything stands. So right now we're full steam ahead, preparing for the fall. So
Good stuff, guys. Hey, thanks everybody for being here.
yep.
Right,
Awesome
guys,
stuff tonight.
right there's
for
the
joining
meeting
us.
ID for the social. We've also posted it in the chat as a link. You can go there immediately after this, and we can have our social. Any other words from the panelists before we close it out?
Just
Awesome
take note,
stuff.
Just
take
real
note of
quick.
the social ID, guys, because once he closes this out, you lose it.
Hey, real quick, Doug, this has been recorded and it is going to be on YouTube, right?
Yes, and so sometimes the last meeting got flagged for the videos being copyrighted. So there's a chance that YouTube does that, and that's an automatic thing. What I had to do last time was dispute it because we do have the rights to use these clips. And then YouTube, hopefully, if they do block it initially, they unblock it. So it might be a couple days. If it doesn't get blocked, we're good to go, and I will share that link with the panelists, and they'll share that out with everybody who was unable to attend. Or if you want to just watch it again, feel free. So know that it may get blocked. It may take a couple days to get unblocked. YouTube is just a mystery how it all works and how that gets accomplished. So we do appreciate your time in coming tonight. We do try to keep these, I try to keep the panelists and ourselves to that hour because we know everybody's time is valuable. But the meeting ID is there for anybody to join after the fact. And like I said, it won't be the webinar. We can actually interact with everybody. It's a more relaxed setting, but we can continue discussion there. Any other thoughts before we close it out?
Take care, guys.
Got nothing.
All right, good stuff. Take care, and we'll see you on the next time.